Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you back to the Yellow is the Cool program. I have with me here Mr. Suman Singh and Mr. Ken Dalcham with me, and hopefully our other friends can join us later on during the program. So we have seen a couple of developments taking place that concerns us, and one which I feel is a very hot issue aside from the crime is this police shooting that all of us has a lot of concerns about, and the population is coming out and speaking out about. And I want to welcome you guys on your perspective and what you think. We're just gonna run this short footage here that we saw earlier. Uh, let's see, take a look at this. Now, I, from my for the life of me, cannot understand uh, what would cause a man who has his both hands out the vehicle to be shot at. And maybe you gentlemen can share your views on, on how you feel about this and what we see happening. Mr. Singh, you want to go first?
Sumant?
Yeah, Gary, no problem. I can go. Good night to all listeners and welcome to the UNC Yellow is Gold. Um, Concerning this incident, Ken and Gary, you know, we need to have operating procedures, man. Is it the shot when a man put his hands up and out of a vehicle? It means a number of things. One, he ain't driving away. Secondly, he had no weapons to use because at that time, because it's two of his hands, both his hands outside, and he ain't driving away. So in that case, what is his operating procedure? Is it, are you going to shoot the tires? Policemen have to know, use their judgment now and say, are you going to shoot the guy's tires or are you going to shoot him? And lo and behold, they choose the latter. They shot the guy. Now, it's like someone throwing up their hands in the air, say, begging in a way. Look, I ain't running. I ain't going nowhere. I'm not armed. And still they pump lead in his tail. That to me is abuse of power. And and these policemen, I don't care who it is, I don't care which government it is, these policemen should have to face trial and they will have to bear the cost and the consequences of those actions. But that is total rubbish. And these actions are things that can bring down a government. These things, they provide ammunition for the opposition. So they will say, well, Hitler, what is your complaint about the guys who died in the pipeline, on who got stuck in the divers who got stuck in there. UNC was up front and center. Here you don't see any UNC up front and center. So, it just provides ammunition for the People's National Movement. Many of them will make mileage of all these things.
But we see that happening already, Mr. Singh. And the thing about it is the PNM, who is highly responsible for how things have been functioning in the country, and is the main major reason why a lot of us came on board to remove the PNM because we
Hmm.
didn't like the way things were going.
Quite
We
right.
didn't like the way
Quite right.
police treated people. We didn't like the way of criminals running rampant in the country. the level of integrity of the police deteriorated drastically because things was allowed to slide, but nobody stood up to hold anybody accountable. And this is where we at. So while the PNM want to rile up and try to twist this thing around and blame the PNM and show up at the people's house and act like they're so concerned. They ruled the country for the majority of independence. They
Mm-hmm.
nurtured, structured, created this system here. This is old Eric Williams' code of ethics in policing, and shoot first and ask questions after.
You got it, my friend.
And
You
we
got
we
it.
we we have struggled to eradicate that by putting the UNC there to get rid of this kind of nonsense. So we know we have a lot of work to do. We just got started.
There's a lot of work to do, and
A lot of work. It's it's a work in progress. And good night to all. Good night to everyone. UNC's USA supporters. Look, you have to call it as you see it, right? And what I'm seeing there in that video, it's an
blatant,
abuse,
blatant abuse of power,
blatant
blatant.
abuse, right, of force there. You know, what is even disturbing is the fact that we could see, we will, through that lens, that camera that was hanging on that temple CCTV, clearly captured from that vantage point where the guy surrendered, right? We saw his hands, both hands in the air. He didn't have a gun. And then, in a barrage of gunfire, right, which followed right after, still the guy was trying to keep his hands up with a little bit of life he had, surrendering because he knew that he had someone in the driver's seat there, right? Who probably what he's saying, "Hey, I'm going to surrender and stop the gunfire because there are other people, occupants in the vehicle." And yet, still, the bullets continue to rain down on them. 25 shots to that effect, or something to that effect. He was hit 19 times. I have to call it as I see it, right? This is no longer about party and politics and stuff. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
and what
Well,
occurred there?
while the TTPS might have some allegiance to the PNM for many years. I mean, the UNC government is not responsible, even though they are the in government, in my perspective, for what took place here. Now, they are
Yeah,
responsible for taking action,
correct. So
not
yeah,
for the police code of ethics and protocol and functioning. And this, as I can see here, is clearly undermining our government here by the
Uh,
yeah.
conduct. And then the police commissioner have the audacity to try and defend this. And now then you'll see coming back and talking about they have to be,
r-
how to say,
yeah, and that's a good point, Gary. To have a
after
you
the
know,
man
fact,
who's head of the
they need
police
counseling. They need
service,
counseling, right?
yeah, to have a guy,
But he tried to
sorry,
defend this,
to
you
have a
know.
guy, yeah, and this is not no regular police, officer. This is the head of the police service, right? The commissioner of police, one who gives the orders, right, and delegates and stuff. You know, he jumped, he jumps in prematurely and started defending the TTPS. You know,
So the other thing,
I mean,
Ken, is
after
we don't know what this guy did, right? Um, I don't know what the reason for the chase. Maybe he was speeding. I haven't been able to get any clarification on what triggered the chase. Maybe he did or maybe he didn't do anything. I don't know yet. I haven't been able. Maybe it's out
maybe
there. I
he
haven't.
maybe he didn't have insurance for the car. He had expired
For
insurance
whatever
certificate,
reason, he
but
was
Gary,
speeding.
right?
it could be whatever reason the guy,
So
But
are
they
we
were taking
justifying
the
him
guy.
for
but
speeding?
but the point is what how it ended there, right? The central focus should be, regardless of what he did, or maybe a minor traffic, infraction or something to that effect, right? Or driving without a license or suspended license. But we should not stray from what we saw there, right? What is the core of all of this unrest and protests and stuff? Is the fact that the guy clearly
Stop.
surrendered with his
Stop.
two
Stop.
hands in the air, and he was still executed.
Now, can stick up in there. If the guy had his hands on the steering and was trying to escape, right? And the police were chasing him based on suspicion or whatever it is before, you can say, in that case, you could say police use some level of judgment. But when the car
But
is stopped,
you have
when
to
the
possess
vehicle is stopped,
some kind of a threat to the police for the police to use that kind of force. You
uh,
can't just shoot people because you're in police and they give you a gun as you damn well please. And we have seen that happen too much under the PNM, and we didn't hear no noise from the PNM. I have seen people got shot in their bed while sleeping. We have had too many incidents of that. So, I mean, the PNM have no moral authority here to come say anything because they created this mess.
Exactly. Exactly. They fell
no,
asleep behind the wheel for the past 10 years
yeah,
and create this level of lawlessness that we've been seeing. They'll be
Well,
dealing
the
with it.
lawlessness and the way the police operates. I mean, like I seen, I'm clearly seeing an Eric Williams style doctrine and code of ethics here, where shoot first and ask question after. We cannot have that.
No, 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 Gary, we cannot have that because that public trust is going to erode, right? You
very,
know,
very
trust
quickly.
is something it takes years to build up, right?
Yeah, we
And it's
got rid of
based
the
on,
PM because we PNM because we didn't like that.
yeah.
A lot of us
And
living outside the country made extra effort to get rid of the PNM because we didn't like what we seen there. We wanted a change, and we cannot condone this.
we cannot go down that road with the PNM, right? We cannot
No,
follow their footsteps. We have to change that what they did
no,
because they are epic failure. We have to call them an epic failure there, across the board.
yeah,
So we
no,
have to lead by example.
Only failure, guys. I think some things are done by design to keep things the way in a certain maintain a certain status quo. So
Well,
uh,
if you keep people at one level, right? You don't try to lift them out of their situation, you know, and you educate them and so forth. They're going to wise up. They're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm smarter than this here. And what we have here is not working, right? The PNM, if you look at their constituencies, right? The members of those constituencies, the level of progress is almost stagnant and nil. It's in the negative over 70
regressive,
years,
regressive,
right?
regressive.
Now, when we take, for example, the laptops, right? Distributing laptops with an AI app and stuff, that is forward thinking because the UNC is investing in their people through education. It's one of the biggest and best investment that you could make in, the, for the citizens. So yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the PNM stop the laptop distribution and system
Right
that UNC
away,
started,
right
right?
away. As soon as
Because
they
you were
came in,
you're involved with that from day one, from the get go. So you would
they,
have all of the facts. So
they
when the
stopped
PNM came,
it.
they stopped all of that. Now the UNC started it back. I posted a picture with Hoover East Secondary School, where they're going to start to distribute the laptops for the Form 1 students. And that
Mhm.
is really good news. That is really inspiring news. It shows that the UNC government is taking pride, is keeping its promise, and it's also ensuring that the public, the citizens are educated, young people especially, right? Because they are the future. And to give them that opportunity to start off on the right foot, right? With the current technologies that we have today in AI and stuff. And so, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little more on that.
Yeah, well, we have to understand, go back a little bit, Ken. You want to
Yeah.
understand when the PNM stopped this project, laptop in 2016, they started to give it to a selective few. Listen to the words correctly. To a selective few. And those selective few will never, never, never be on the Caroni Bridge. So start to understand and put the pieces together. Then they did what's called a means test. And then not laptop. They were given tablets. What have you? Not tablets from education. It's the lap the tablets in lieu of uh, full laptop. So the parent was very, very selective. They choose who they want to give, when their constituencies, who they know and what this sort of thing. So there's abject discrimination in the distribution of
And
laptops.
also, and let me just
But,
stop you. And it was also evident with the scholarship program also.
well, that has always been the modus operandi of the PNM. Non-accountability, no advertisements. Just you say so and so is selected and that's it. Nobody asks questions. The press has all a mum on everything like this. Nothing, no questioning, no investigative reporting and so on. This. But as we continue along with the project, the laptop project, you have to understand the difference. Now the difference is when Kamala PM decided to give laptop or all of the students were able to get laptops. Whether parents could afford or cannot afford, every single student got laptop. If you didn't want a laptop, so you choose not to take it. Well, that was it. But there was no discrimination, no means says, nothing to say that only my constituency is going to get the laptop. No. There was nothing like that.
Everyone had one. Every one of the
Everyone had
students
one.
in schools
Then,
all over Trinidad and Tobago had one.
now, with the new incarnation of laptop is also AI support teacher along with them. That is so critical. I'll tell you how. Sometimes we always mention this that the low backward learning students, those who didn't catch this thing first time around, those who maybe not following, or those who just couldn't retain what was being taught by the teacher, they ended up, being abused, literally abused by the teachers. Oh, you bump head, you dumb head, they pelt you with a duster, stick a chalk and all this sort of thing. These things have gone to the shoot because the same kid can go home now and ask AI, please can you help me to solve this problem? I got this problem today. He can list out what the problem is and go through the step-by-step process and he can repeat this time, 5 times, 6 times, any amount of times till it sticks in his head. So all of a sudden, this guy is a bad guy. He's not only getting the sums correct, but he's learning there at his own pace. And that is so important. Because in every class you have bright students, not so bright students, some in between, some are fast learners, slow learners, and what have you. That's normal. That's typical of any class.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
once
Absolutely.
you could level the playing field and give everybody an equal chance to be the best, that is what the technology is offering.
But
That is
again,
what the technology is offering.
Somebody shows that the UNC is addressing matters and keeping promises, and we're not discriminating against any communities there, right?
No
As you
man.
best mentioned, all students in schools all throughout Trinidad and Tobago, right? They're being given a laptop, right? I think at the form one, from form one and up, and that is good. But coming back to this photo here, right? We don't want to just go off on a tangent, and um, what we saw there and what we witnessed there, you know, um, was very sad and tragic. And now that could happen to anyone, right? That could happen to anyone, anywhere. You know, let's say you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you realize you don't have your license with you, you forgot it home. The police stop you, or, maybe you got scared or something to that effect, or you're driving in a vehicle with someone who don't have any insurance, you know, and they got spooked because they saw the police and whatnot, and they decided to flee, you know. And then you realize, hey, you know what? Let's just surrender. Let's put aside, and then let's just put our hands up here and give up. It- is there any justification for the police to shoot you and kill you without driving with a driver's license or a broken tail light or something to that effect? Because clearly this guy, Joshua Sumaru, there's no mention of a firearm in his possession or an exchange of gunfire anywhere, right? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the COP mentioned something to that effect where there's a gun, a gunfight or something, right? I don't know if he's alluding to a shootout, you know. But I didn't hear anything about weapon retrieved, you know. Um, but again, the guy clearly surrendered, you know, and the people now, the greater population of Trinidad and Tobago, they're calling for justice, right? They're calling for a independent investigation because there is a reputation for the TTPS to fabricate evidence and misconstrue the whole, investigation and infect it with bias, as we've seen from the
Absolutely.
get-go with the COP.
Mhm.
He didn't get all the facts, but he's starting to put statements out there, you know, to
Uh,
paint a negative image that these were hardened criminals and this what happened there was justifiable, right?
Well,
And now
listen, he
he's
came up. He came up. All these guys' minds are conditioned. That's why you see we wanted to bring. A lot of us wanted a commissioner from outside the box. Somebody that was not part of the team. Because a lot when Iwaski and Gibbs came there, they run rings around them and try to create all kind of prejudice that the commissioner is doing this and that and the other. They didn't want that because you see these guys are offsetting the status quo. Then Gary Griffith came in, and oh boy, I mean he's a Trini, so they had to come in a different angle now, and he's causing some major disturbance. I mean we had all sort of wrongdoings taking place. With this. So when you come in there and you offset the status quo,
the whole
obviously,
force is against you.
yeah, yeah, you're making some people uncomfortable, and you're
Yeah.
interfering with the cash flow
that's
of some
correct.
people who are making very large sum of money
That's
because
correct.
things are operating the way they are. But again, I like to keep reiterating that we changed government because we did not want to keep. We didn't change government for the status quo. We didn't like the way things going. A lot of people made a great amount of effort of all
Uh-huh.
races, all nationality in the country. They came unified. They ambushed the PNM, and they didn't expect the PNM didn't expect them to lash out like that, and they unified for a better country. And
No,
I am saying that we cannot sit quiet and allow this to slide because this is not. I mean, our government is in place now. We want our government to take on the police service and address the police service with this kind of conduct, and then we could start putting legislation in place where the codes operating procedure has to change the how the officers manage, like I always say, how they are managed, how they are supervised has to change. We have to upgrade. We must be accountable. Supervisors must be accountable for the men under their watch. And,
Yeah.
and these are the kind of
yeah.
things I'm looking for.
But
Go ahead, Jen.
let me put forward a question. What will the impact of this incident, as it's seen, have on the UNC? That is the that is the next question to
Well,
follow through from this incident.
Suma, that's a good question, eh? Because everything will have an impact on how we handle this matter here, right? Again, we could lose points, but we can gain points, and by
Right.
s- by points I mean confidence,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, I know. I know what you mean. Right.
And look, at the end of the day, the whole world saw that video, right? And I think after see that video, anyone, John Public, will tell you what they saw there was wrong,
Right.
right? The
Right. Right.
TTPS was wrong to shoot that guy down in a hail of gunfire, right? When the man had his hand clearly up in the air, his hands were
So,
visible.
so it shows, Ken,
So,
there's
so
no.
we as the UNC have to tread carefully on how we're tackling this problem and deal with it in the right way. No PNM politics here, where because it's a PNM commissioner or whatever, right is right, wrong is wrong. And again, we are
Absolutely.
not going to go in the PNM footstep and repeat their mistakes, right? The
Yeah.
public has confidence in the UNC. They've voted for the UNC by a large majority. And let me just add to that also, 100,000 persons switched their vote or didn't vote it at all for the PNM. And it says a lot there, right? And I think with that in mind, we should continue to appeal to those persons, to say, hey, we are the government that's going to do the right thing. And here's a case where we are going to be tested to ensure that the right thing is done. You know, we don't. This is like a George Floyd again. Saman. This is like
Yeah,
George Floyd.
well,
Remember George Floyd,
yeah, of course.
when the police they handcuffed the man. He was on the ground, and one of the police officers put a knee on his neck.
Yep.
The guy is saying he's pleading, I can't breathe.
Well,
Right?
Ken, in Trinidad, they had that Black Lives Matter that emanated out of the
Yeah,
Floyd.
yeah. And those same persons there will probably come out again for the woodwork and start to protest and march
And
again
you
for
cannot get
justice.
them wrong for that.
They're not
You
asking for
cannot-
the moon and the stars and the whole the sun or whatever. They're just asking for justice and the right thing to be done because they know that the TTPS has a reputation of not delivering, the facts, and to some extent because see things fabricated or left out, deliberately left out. You know, um, but Sumant, why is it they're not wearing their body camera?
I,
There's
I,
policy to that
I'm going to
effect to
come to
wear your
that.
body camera,
I'm going to
right?
come to that. Ken. Let me add something to that
Good,
right now.
good.
Some additional things, you hit the nail on the head, but there are some additional things. The this incident gives ammunition to the PNM. That's the first thing. They have things to talk about because we have to remember the PNM has nothing to talk about in the country except racism. There is nothing for them to talk about. So this is just giving them some ammunition to speak out. That's one thing. Secondly, there's a high probability that if this case goes to court, the TTPS will lose. There's a high probability, and I would like to think so.
Certainly, certainly.
So what happens in that case? The state has to fork out monies, right? The state has to fork out money to pay these people. That's one thing. The state has to bear legal costs on both sides, all because of the actions of a few policemen who were trying their best, or if they were acting on behalf of not the TTPS, because I'm sure that it's something more than that. Gary will say the old, Eric Williams.
Suman, I think they're acting on behalf of the TTPS because that's the way they operate. That is the code of ethics that they have operated for in a very long time. But today, because of the because of the technology and the devices available, it is putting them in a difficult position, and that's why they don't want body cams, and that's why certain people trying to say, well, you can't post anything like you see these things happen, you can't do it. So this is the culture as the norm. We have now. I'm not saying that all the officers are like that, but they're because of so many bad officers and the modus operandum there is that they force the good people in a position
Mm,
where they have to go along because they have no choice, and there's a culture there, and because they can get away with it and nobody to chastise them, and that is what the problem is here, and that is not just in the TTPS. Like I would say it is throughout all government ministry. Nobody can chastise them. They're big and bad. They can do you what they want, and So we're in an age now where social media, information reaches social media before it reaches the normal news, and the bias with the press only will report certain things. It's just like how the same thing happened with the Auditor General. They got away with things for many years until this one says she ain't doing that. So
But
and
I'm
again,
a little more
the
concerned.
media is getting in a predicament. They have no choice to go the news are making the social media before the regular media. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm like going a different angle because it's going to cost the state monies
Definitely, and this
to
is
pay
another
out to pay
structured
out.
thing that's going to cost us. Everything that PNM does, whether it's squandering money or their decision, is costing us.
So again, what is going to happen there is that credibility, you lose credibility. You lose credibility of government dance, meaning that the people will look upon this thing and say, hey, you know what, the UNC no different from PNM. These same sets of crimes perpetuating, going along as it always go along all these years, whether it be PNM or UNC. We have nothing to gain from actions like this. Secondly, it shows that the in the PTTPS, there is no standard operating procedures. Hey, you see, something says you must bullet right away. There is no training, no retraining. Well, what the heck? You see a car stop, two hands in the air, no intent to drive off, and you still pumping lead in the guy, man? Come on. What is the procedure? What is the first line of attack? You shoot the tires first, you approach, or, there must be certain protocols at every stage of this
Yeah.
process.
No, so, but I want to make one point. The vehicle
Mhm.
was in the drain there. The vehicle crashed and was in the drain, stuck in the drain. So he couldn't go
So,
anywhere.
then your hands not in the steering. So
Yeah.
that means you have no weapons to show, and you're not, the intent is not the driver. So tell me what in that case, what is a police officer supposed to do? Shoot a man or
In
shoot
this
a gun?
so-called civilized society that we live in, you cannot gun down people as an officer, uh, unarmed people just like that. I mean,
No,
that cannot be justified,
No,
and
no,
that's
no. That's
unacceptable to me, like that.
no. You see what?
but you know it could
Just
happen to
so, even
anyone,
if
you
a
know.
man come in your house, say we have it standing ground laws now, and you're FUL, right? A licensed person, and the man come in your house and he kneel down and he put up his hands in the air. Are you still allowed to shoot him?
No, you can't shoot him. That's murder.
I mean, is it justified? Nobody's seeing, right? I
Right.
mean,
No,
do you justify shooting the man? The man put down, he was hungry. He come in your house for some reason. And I mean, with all rights, you have the right to deal with him accordingly, but he's not posing any threat to you. He put his hand behind his head and he lay down in the ground or whatever it is. um are you still should be shooting him, or should you just contain him? If you have to, tie his hands or whatever until the police get there, it's something else. But does that justify you shooting him? It comes the same thing like this.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't shoot people like that. We can't tolerate that. And I mean, I don't care who vexed, but I am saying that I cannot accept what I saw there, and I want to see some drastic improvement.
and
same
that
here, Gary. Same
improvement
here.
will come in training because
Yeah,
these guys are not totally untrained. They're back
yeah.
today, as you say, the Eric William Bear shoot first and talk after. That is not
Well,
policing in the
but
This
modern
is the
Samad,
Eric William culture. This is the Eric
yeah,
William code of
yeah.
ethics.
Samad,
This is
when we
Eric
talk
William
about,
standard operating
yeah,
procedure,
exactly,
and
and
we
look,
want that out.
we're talking about costs, right? Today in the Express newspaper, page 4, right? Judge Frank C. Prasad, right,
yes,
ruled in favor of a soldier awarded $100,000 for wrongful arrest.
and he went
And
further.
yeah, and what he's saying is that he's playing to the public now to use their cameras and phone cameras and
Yeah,
so
I
forth and
saw that.
CCTV.
I think I was trying to save it somewhere. Go ahead, speak. I'm looking to pull the
Yeah,
picture.
and he's saying
Policemen.
to record the police, because if the
And
police is not
also,
going to be wearing their body cameras, someone has to pick up the footage,
yes,
right?
so
Because
he
if
went,
there's no footage, your rights could easily be violated,
So,
or you could
gentlemen,
become a
the more
victim.
evidence you have in an incident, is the better for the case.
so
It's better to prove any the truth. I mean,
Okay.
if
Correct.
10 people recording on their phones, even though the police have body cam, that helps.
Exactly. The more the merrier, right? We could have we have different perspectives. You know.
Yes, you see,
Um.
everything is based on evidence. Huh?
Yeah. Exactly,
And
Sumad.
So
And
if
any individual against you documenting that is totally should not be tolerated. We should That totally unacceptable.
well, Gary, Judge Justice C. Prasad, right? Again here, publicly urges the public, right, to use
to
their cell phone
report.
and CCTV to gather video evidence to protect
And
themselves. And
and do
that
not,
also will be used in court and make their lives as judges, right? They will now have to be able to review that footage and see firsthand what really occurred.
and,
There's no hearsay or hearsay there. When you're seeing a man put up his hand and he's still being shot, you know,
and,
right? I mean, how could you dispute that? In
and
fact,
can,
how could anyone dispute what we saw there with Joshua Samaru? How could any attorney, senior counsel, junior counsel defend that one moment there, that 2 seconds or 3 seconds, where he put his hands up in the air and then was shot 19 times? Who who is going to defend that and justify that? What is the basis of that case or claim to say that that was justifiable in Trinidad and Tobago? And it could happen again to anyone because it's
can
justifiable. That cannot happen. We cannot go down that road. Because what's going to happen here is the police is going to, we're going to see many, many cases of police brutality, right? And excessive force where people are shot. And
mm,
God forbid that there's no video evidence to capture all of this. People are going to be murdered, right? We cannot allow that to happen. No way, you
uh,
know.
and
And I'm
then
going to stand firm with
yeah,
what I see, what I've seen in that video. I'm going to say it as I see it. That was wrong, right?
police
That was a violation of policy of law, right? They shot the guy. I mean, the man surrendered. That's murder, right? That's how I'm gonna call it.
yeah,
And the judge also is reiterating to the people to continue to use their cell phone and record,
and
right?
most importantly, do not
Because the public now has to do the police work, right? If the police don't want to wear their body cam, the public has to now pick up their phones and take charge to gather the evidence, right? And it is a shame that this COP, is taking this lightly or is not enforcing this, right? Which is policy, you know, because again, you know what, Samad, if you have intentions to break the law, right, or do the wrong thing, you
mhm,
wouldn't want to incriminate yourself with a body camera. Tell me, is that right or wrong?
absolutely,
Why would I want to
absolutely.
wear a body camera if I'm going to shake down
But
some drug dealers and take their drugs and give it to someone to sell and and tamper with evidence or shoot people down like this? So,
You know how much complaints. I listen. I don't live in Trinidad over 40 something years, and I have no idea what was going on in Trinidad. There's people that call me and tell me, message me and tell me because I'm outside the country, or maybe they think I'm somebody they can trust. I have had too many complaints about
mm,
police extorting money from business people, police doing this, police doing that. I told you guys one morning about 4 o'clock, I got a message. This guy was in distress. He didn't know what to do. The drugs, he was on a boat with drugs. The police come and take the drugs. The drugs belong to, I think, some Colombian, and most of the people going to leave he, and he frightened because he don't know what to do because he's the only one they could find, and he begging for help. And he, well, how do he go to the police and the police take the drugs? You know, who do you report the police to, to who? Do you report the police to the police?
yeah,
You know, and that's just one incident. I mean, and I have several I can talk about, but what I'm saying to you is again and again and again. Okay, I want all the elected politicians on the UNC side to understand we supported the UNC to change this kind of thing that's going on. We want that change of status quo. This is why. Now, I know it's going to take time. I don't expect an overnight. I don't expect the prime minister with a magic wand because she have a lot of things to clean up. It will take time, but I'm not going to sit here and allow the PNM to spin this on the UNC and blame the UNC because the UNC is government and they created this mess which has ruled the country for the majority of the independence. And I want to clarify that,
Yep.
and I want to reiterate that I will not sit along here and allow the PNM to put this on the UNC.
And Gary, and you made a very good point there, right? The PNM has failed their members of their constituency, for decades, not just one for one term, for decades, right? There's no upward mobility to that effect, you know. And their members of parliament, the PNM members of parliament, are epic failure. All of them are a bunch of failures, to the point where the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, came on a public platform and plea to the young African uh,
Yeah,
Trinidadian youths to put down the guns. I don't know if you have that video, Gary, right? So anybody wants to say that we are being racist or we are, stigmatizing people and stuff here, and want to go down that line, want to play that race card. I want to first ask them: did anyone from the PNM debunk that statement or call Dr. Creed Christopher Rowley and ask him to retract that statement and apologize
No,
to the black
they
people,
were
to the
saying
black
in the
voters
cover
in
and
their
stuff like
constituency?
that.
but that's what the data shows. How can they debunk that? Nobody can debunk that, Ken. That's the reality, my friend.
Right, but why is
That's
the PNM members, Penny and Marvin Gonzalez and
silence.
these people,
The
did
silence.
they ever talk to Christopher Rowley about that statement he made
No,
there?
the silence.
Right?
They had PIP that time. Remember, they all had PIP when Bobby was there.
Yeah.
All of them
So
had
again,
PIP.
look, we are not going to debate what is the facts there, right? Because we all know what the facts are. And we need to work to clean up the country. We need to fix things that was broken and and left neglected for the past 10 years. Right? We've never seen this level of violence and neglect from the infrastructure. Somebody roads down in south. I mean, in some of the constituencies, there, UNC constituencies, it is like it's like somewhere going in some rural trace
Off
somewhere
road.
in no man's land,
It's
right?
like you're off road. Like you're off.
Giant potholes, right? Landslip left, you know, without
But
being addressed properly. People houses shifting.
can you think about this? Last year we had such a big reduction of murders, 256, right? Murders less in 1 year. No, such actions like this now, I would like to say bad actions like this in this photo. It negates all the good work that has been done last year, in trying to get the criminals or the level of crime down, which was significant, not 42%. That's a significant reduction on crime. And here is it, incidents like these, you know, I would say just washes out all the good things that were done previously as when the UNC assumed government. So,
Samad, you could take years to build your reputation, and you could lose that in 1 second
one second, this is
based on
my
your
point.
action or
This
based on a
is the point.
statement, right?
This
So
is the
my
point.
question to the COP: he need to act with integrity, right? And act in the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But
Absolutely. You're on the buzzer then. You know,
yeah,
we preempted everything and, introduced bias into the evidence already. So, what does that say? By introducing bias and shouting out that, oh, the police were justified in making what they did, he has kind of blown the case out. So
he has
this,
infected the case.
yeah, that's
He has
exactly
infected the
too,
case
too
by
biased.
trying to sway perception, right?
Yeah.
And but he has no facts to support what he's
This
saying.
is, so this is the way policing is done, and then now you want to say the community, they don't have the community support. People don't want to get involved, and people don't want to get involved because of a reason. Exactly this type of scenario. You cannot build. public confidence when they're doing this kind of BS,
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
right?
It is going to
Because
erode confidence.
it erodes confidence. Nobody wants to come forward to give any sort of information to the police anymore. This is total
So,
BS, man.
so look at the screen, Gary. Sumat and Gary. Just to see
Yes,
beside it, what I was saying there, right?
I read it. I read it. He was basically saying, well, why the police is not wearing body cams? Is there something to hide? And if, as members of the public, if you have your phones, you can photo, screenshot everything, all the incidents. Once, and this is clearly stated, one should do not interfere with what the police is doing on the scene. But
Right,
if you have
correct.
your phone, you are free to, you know, do the camera shots on the incident.
Maintain that aesthetic distance, right?
Yep.
Don't get involved to interrupt
Wonderful.
the process. But you
Yep.
have your right. It is your right to for freedom of speech and press, whatever, to stand there at a safe distance and videotape what's happening,
Right.
right?
That is
I mean,
in lieu of not
totally
the
legal in a
police.
public space.
Yeah, the police is not wearing their body cam. That is in lieu of it. Once the police are wearing the body cam, everything is captured at that point in time, unless they're just wearing something for sure and it's not working. You know?
So, Matt, if you're going to break the law, right? Why would you want to wear a body cam to incriminate yourself,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So that is the main reason why you're not wearing that body cam. Nothing else I can see to justify that, not wearing the body cam, right?
If
You
you're
know,
maintaining
again,
a culture of breaking the law and going against the standard operating procedures, definitely. And we have seen enough things happening, that cause us for concern, right? I mean, we didn't change government because we had nothing better to do. We didn't make such an effort to change government because we just felt like it. People don't get up and change a government and make such a strong effort if everything is fine. But we
Right.
saw a political party and an administration more of being part of the problem, more of the encourager of the problem, and somehow supporting the problem. And that's why the people had risen up.
yeah,
And that's why some 100,000 people refused to vote. And the young people came out because the young people want a better life. They saw this prime minister do it. Now again, we just getting started. We barely scratching the surface, and there's so much work to do because there's so much destruction that was caused by the PNM, and that is what we have to keep in the forefront here for people to understand, and so they don't get confused and get caught up in the moment there and start to jump on the bandwagon and attack the government when it wasn't the government fault. What we need the government to do again and again and again here is to start rectifying the issue. Address the commissioner. You are the elected authority, and we want to maintain things in the structure. The people protested peacefully. There was no violence, and the government needs to listen.
Yes.
nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect, right? And
Mm.
everything is a work in progress. Yeah, Gary, you made a good point, right? 10 years of neglect and carnage left by the PNM. We
Well, it's
have
more
to
than 10
take
years, but
time.
10 recent years. But the whole system set up since 1962.
Correct, correct. But what we saw, I mean, is like the
And
whole.
remember going, who was there to challenge Dr. Eric Williams?
Well, we didn't have the technology back then,
No, no, I'm
right?
just saying. And he utilized the police to beat anybody. Basle Pandey and them guys was beaten up. Kamla Prasad Bisesa was in Shogunas there. My dad was there, and the police pushed she, and she didn't do anything. She was attending the function there, you
And
know.
that's not supposed to be so, right? You're violating
So
people's rights there.
the Eric William used the police to brutalize the opposition. Eric William did a lot of wrong things. So, like I say, and I want to keep reiterating, Eric William code of policing, Eric William code of ethics. We must flush that out.
That exactly. Well, point well taken.
Yes,
Point well taken.
yes.
And we have a case in front of us with Joshua Samaru. And I think this is a very, very important case moving forward because it has gotten the attention of the entire country and also viewers from outside of Trinidad and Tobago, because now with the internet, everybody around the world can see this
Mhm.
video, right? And share it. So we are at a pivotal point here where we have to do the right thing and hold persons accountable and fix what's broken, right?
So I'm gonna share
The
some.
PNM,
I'm gonna share some other footage with you guys. Take a look.
Oh, Brad. Joshua, ease now, Joshua. Joshua, ease now. Joshua. Lick.
No, I don't know if that lady is part of the security, part of the staff, but I think she was very weak in responding here. And you see why we need the police in the school in case Dr. Maharaj was saying he couldn't see, understand that. So I
uh,
wanted Dr. Maharaj to see one of
that
the reasons why we need the police in the
that
school.
is no longer a school matter. That's a crime there.
Yeah, but
And you
listen,
need
but
you need the
what I'm saying,
TTBS there.
those that just stand around cheering. I mean, thank God for those who decide to do the footage, but the rest of them could have responded and stopped that. If somebody does that to your daughter, I mean, whatever reason the young lady might be wrong to slap him. She should report it, but he must have been doing something to provoke her to that extent. But the rest of the people did not move in quick enough to stop this thing that was going on. And the staff that was there, I think, was very weak in the way she handled this thing. All right.
Now,
Let's see
Gary,
the footage.
do
Hold
we
on, let me
have
see.
cameras in schools or
But you use the scenarios too. You fuck.
Anyway, there was another footage. I thought I had it loaded here, where the young man fell on the ground while standing in front of the police. I think he collapsed or something like that. I would have to probably pull it. Yeah. Anyway, but revamping the police, and how they handle things, and I mean having the sufficient amount of policing out there, and still, is absolutely necessary. We've seen reckless driving. No, just look with that car. Try to get between the truck and pass there. So I mean the need for the patrol, the police to be out there, doing the job, doing it the right way is also necessary. So nobody's saying that the police don't have it easy, but do the job the right way. You know.
That's correct. That's correct.
And that will
But
only
Gary, you know,
come from
I think that they need to be trained also, yeah.
training
Because
and
look, we
retraining.
saw one
Correct.
of the video where I think there was a
Like I said,
schoolboy.
there's a culture that has to be changed, and how and there must
That
be.
also, and because the way they handling the public there with the school kid, right? Two man trying to scramble a schoolboy. I mean, you can't contain him. So it shows that they need some level of training on how to deal with these situations, right? Um, because
You
again, look
you
at
may need
Joshua.
you may need because the schoolboy is young, he's more flexible than you, and you definitely need more than two man there. You know, because he fighting and kicking up like a horse there. You know, and well, I mean the young people, you know, is very strong physically and more athletic than us. So to
Flexible.
get over. So
Yeah.
definitely you need more people. You need more people. I'm gonna tell you why. You need more people so that nobody gets damaged.
Mhm.
The officers can protect themselves and they can restrain the person. Yes, training is needed, absolutely necessary. But
With the taser and stuff, with the taser would have worked well fine there.
but they can't really use a taser on a school kid like that. That gonna cause more trouble because you have to be able to restrain them.
Physically
Uh,
restraining.
yeah.
Physically restraining.
You have to be careful because if you damage them, it causes more problems too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Handling the
But
adults on the street and the young people is two different things.
Yes,
There-
absolutely.
More training, more education, more training on counter-attacking, without a weapon, because some people are quick to pull a gun, but you need that skill, and you definitely need more officers out there in order to assist in containing that situation.
absolutely.
Yes. Carry any new things making new.
Yeah,
You
I'm trying to load some files here that let me you guys carry on and let me just try to pull it up.
I think
Yeah.
we see uh, sort of agreement between the government and the government of the UAE signing a contract for developed infrastructure development.
Yeah, well, Dr. Bulla went to India and
Uh,
engaging another company. There was a report on it there.
This was the UAE visit, the recent visit that they had both
Yeah, that also,
from Trinidad to the UAE and the UAE back to Trinidad. So I think there was some agreement which was formalized between both countries today. So that's a step in the right direction.
And also is a step in the right direction to start up and recommission the refinery.
Yeah, so that would be the big one.
That
Once we
yeah.
can get
well,
back
based on
to
what's happening in Venezuela, what's happening in Guyana, there's lots of opportunities. That's why we really have to speed up things.
Yep. Yep.
that's right. Exactly the point. And we made that point before, Gary. Remember made that point last year when the when Maduro was thrown over that it can have positive repercussions economically for TNT. And one of it was the refining of oil from Venezuela, refining of oil from Guyana, provided that we can get our act together and we start the oil refinery here. So once the first thing is to get the refinery started. Once that can we will always sign contracts otherwise. Then the level of exploration as well that has been commissioned, not only ExxonMobil, but you find Chevron and Shell and BP and so on are also interested in doing some deep water drilling and some of that. So that
No,
augurs
definitely,
well for us.
definitely.
That definitely augurs well for us. And if that these things materialize, by this year or early next year, we can see some positive changes happening in the economy. At least you can start to arrest the foreign exchange decline for a start
Definitely, definitely.
and start
But
to
you know, also, Samad,
boost our
not to
export.
say
Mhm.
I want to shift from the topic here, but we also have to look at the tourism sector, right? That also, I think, once we start to curb the crime, clean up the country, and have it in a state where we could now market it, right? I mean, we have the biggest show happening right now in Trinidad,
Yeah.
occurring, which is the carnival. You know,
Mhm.
we have the steel pan, we have, all of our, course, carnival celebrations.
But Ken, I am, since I'm alive, we have always been hearing that our government is spending so much money in carnival. But has anyone ever really checked the ROI on the carnival? The rate on return on it?
And
Does it
there lies a
do,
problem also. We need
do
some
we
that,
make
and
money or do we
what we're
lose
lacking is
money? Who?
accountability and
Why?
transparency.
Why has there never been, you know, uh, mm, someone checking return on the
No,
investment
but
on
I,
carnival?
I I strongly believe, right, that we should privatize the carnival event because the artists and the people that make all the effort, the guys who play in the steel pan, all the training, they don't really get compensated good, and this is show business.
Nice.
Um,
Now we're
so
talking. So why?
if you put the show, the parade in a private stadium, and you charge a fee to cover the security, to cover compensation for the performers, and all the expense around it. I think that would be the wise way to go.
The big, the big
That's
man,
my thing, because the guys who spend a whole year around training for this thing really don't get justly compensated.
Gary the mass man, the big band leaders, they are the ones who raking in millions from these things, millions of dollars from
Then again,
raking.
it's still a government expense donated towards it because nobody's paying towards it. And I mean, and we at a time and age where people can afford to pay to go to these shows. You know,
That is the show that talking about the active participants who are in the band. Some bands with 5 and 6,000 people.
yeah, but,
These are
but
medium sized band. They have to pay to the band leaders. These are the people who make the money.
yeah, you have to put out money and not really get a good return on it. And I have had too many complaints of those who spend their lifetime, whether it's the Calypsonian, the guys beating and the pan and tuning the pan and all these kind of things. They don't really get compensated well. So I mean, if you privatize it, then they can get compensated.
You run it as a business. Okay, look in Miami here. There's a Grand Prix this week or last week. I think it was the Grand Prix, Miami Grand Prix. They know exactly how much contribution to the Dade County was realized from this event. Next month they also have having the wine and food show in South Beach. Then there's the boat show. Oh, that's a big one from Fort Lauderdale to Miami Beach. And they know exactly what the spin-off is for the economy. The Super Bowl on this weekend, I think, or next weekend.
I'm
Super
not sure. I
Bowl,
think
He's
it's
coming up this weekend, if I don't make a mistake. Yeah.
it's next weekend, I think. It's the Super Bowl. Again, they will tell you what is the spin-off. What is the contribution to the national economy? How come
Around
we
the
cannot
East.
How come it cannot do that in Trinidad? All we have is a guesstimate. Hear me carefully, a guesstimate. There's no mechanism for tracking the expenditure and the income or the revenue from the carnival. How come we cannot do that? You know, we are perhaps the dumbest people on the island to not being able to measure. Hey, we spent 140 million for carnival this year. What is our return? That that is like a joke. Every activity or every attraction, everything you're trying to promote, it's a budget, a budget. You projected income and you projected expenditure. How come the carnival, you cannot have that? Because a lot of money is given to various organizations during carnival. Does it meet filter to the right people? That's a big question. Does the panel get paid sufficiently? Who gets the bulk of the money? The organizations? Is it party group people? Who runs the show? You know? And this is why we can't seem to be making any headway with it. So that's
So
one
then
of
we
the
probably need to privatize it.
privatized. Yes, that I think is the way to go. And when you privatize something, you bring in a lot more structure into it. One,
Correct.
a greater level of accountability to it, and some level of growth this year to next year to the following year. It gets better and better and better. So once the state
I
has
see our partner Arnold is in the audience there. Uh,
Anal Mohammed,
yeah, yeah.
okay, we should ask him how
We
things
give it a shout
going.
out to Arnold.
Yeah, how things went, or are going with the kids. You know. Anyway, so we have to see a return on our investment basically. And Carnival is our big one, the big one, so to speak, and a lot of funds is circulated, a lot of, people go to the parties, the bands, the seed band competitions and so on, the plays, the shows, after the carnival as well.
Even the
Uh,
food also. Samara saw
yes,
the
the
they
flower,
did something in the
fla-
savannah.
yeah, flower
Lava,
zone.
yeah. Which was really nice.
Yes,
You know.
you know,
You could go in there
last.
and enjoy all type of different foods, pilau and
Mhm.
polori and doubles and stuff, you know.
Well, I don't know what's so special about doubles that the former PM said, only to find that dignitaries coming down to Trinidad now want to eat doubles. So I know,
Doubles,
I know
I think we
the
need to.
I know the UAE representative had it recently. The US and the gentleman from the US, when he came down and had discussions in Trinidad, he had it.
Marco Rubio.
Marco, he's a guy. He's a Miami guy from here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's another guy, one of the commanders, he was with the PM and he had it as well. So, only one Dumbo, as I will say, have. So, what's so special about Dumbo? Well, I
But
think,
everybody in Trinidad and Tobago and outside Trinidad and Tobago eating doubles, they like it. You see all the YouTubers and bloggers, all the foreign bloggers and YouTubers, you know, and they fall in love with the doubles and the food that we have there, but especially doubles. I think it is way overdue at this point where doubles should be our national dish,
share, at least
right?
share it with our Kalalu and Crab and Kalalu and all these sorts of things. But
No,
is
but the doubles has taken over everything else as the front runner.
yeah, but
Because not just one race or one person making doubles, you have Hispanics making doubles, you have black people
oh
making doubles,
yeah,
you have Indian people making
the,
doubles, and
the
they're making a living
Chinese
out of it. And then
Chinese The
Yeah.
Chinese are making double.
Everybody's eating doubles.
Yeah. And now they're putting different things into it. In Tobago,
They're getting very,
guys,
very
double,
creative,
but all
right?
different types. Chocolate
I saw
doubles, dashing doubles, you
shrimp on
know.
doubles, shrimp
Yeah,
doubles.
making doubles with the cassava flour in Tobago now.
Oh, nice,
So I'm going to
nice.
play some footage that took place in the Senate today. Stand by.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wish to thank my colleagues for their contribution on this particular bill, which I thought would have been a very non-contentious matter. It certainly got a bit heated in this chamber. Mr. President, I want to thank the Attorney General especially for really the tremendous work that he and his office and team would have put in terms of the drafting of this piece of legislation. And there are just a few points I wish to respond to. Senator Al-Rawi, I think he gets very upset every time we say good things about our Prime Minister because there's a lot of good things to say. And the fact is, Mr. Speaker, the record will speak for itself. The commencement date for the Copyright Act would have been the 1st of October 1997 under UNC government under Kamla Prasad successor. In fact, on our way out of government in 2015, we passed the Trademark Act of 2015 under Prasad Bissessar-led administration. But you see, Mr. President, I think there's an issue of jealousy because we have a leader we can boast of. We have a leader we can boast of. I think they are confused of who is leading them. And my friend, Senator Al-Rawi, said this is not a new concept. And I agree, because we started it back in 1997. We saw the need for reform, and we are back here in 2026 getting it done. Getting it done. Promises made, promises kept. And he said, you know, the EU would have adopted this back in 2011, and I quote that he was keeping his eye on it. Mr. President, he was keeping his eye on it. I don't know where his eyes were, but certainly it was not this bill. So, Mr. Speaker, it took us less than 9 months to get this done to support the creative industry, to support our talented people of Trinidad and Tobago. We will do it, and we'll do it again and again until we could bring the most relief and support to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in every sector. Because we said when UNC wins, everybody wins. And you see, my friend complained about Carnival. He said, wait, bus? He said bus is here. Mr. President, I saw him struggling through the crowd in CIC. I saw him struggling. He couldn't make his way through the thick crowd in CIC. So I don't know what fete he thinking that bus. But I think it have a fete coming up soon that the PNM having that he's anticipating will bus. Yeah, I think he's anticipating that one will bus. And Mr. Speaker, the member asked, why is it that this bill is not operating retroactively and that they will lend us this special majority support? You see, it's very difficult to take legal advice from my friend, especially after his performance with the CPEP matter. So I can't take legal advice from him, Mr. President, at all. I'm afraid we may have to pay cost. So, Mr. President, I will defer of the advice of the experts in the field. So the World Intellectual Property Office would have advised our local IP office, do not let this thing operate retroactively. And I take that advice, Mr. President. I take that advice. So I don't have... Oh yeah, there's one more thing that Senator Al-Rawi would have put on the record, and I think I need to correct the record. Two things, actually. He said that bars are closing down all over, Mr. President. Now, Mr. President, I'm a man, I don't consume alcohol. I don't engage in no rum talk. And I don't go to bars, but I have an AZP article here that I'm seeing. It says, bar owners dispute online claims of closure. And this article is dated the 1st of February, 2026. That's 2 days ago. And I quote Mr. President, "Not all bars named on a list circulating on social media purportedly of establishment closed due to rising taxes have actually shut down. Some bar owners said they were confused to see their businesses including on the list, which began circulating 3 days ago. AZP News visited several establishments in the South on Friday night and Saturday morning. At the former Rum Station Bar at San Francisco, a new business, nightlife, restaurant and bar was opened on Friday night. This, I think they said, was closed down, you know. This after 5 weeks of around-the-clock preparation. So, Mr. Speaker, it is very difficult to take any advice or information from my colleagues in the opposition. It's very, very difficult to do that, Mr. Speaker, because the facts speak for themselves. Facts are a stubborn thing. Facts are a stubborn thing. And then my friend tried to fearmonger. And Mr. Speaker, they're doing this not up here, but in the other place also. And he said that we are going to tax the carnival industry. I think he said that in his debate. He said that we are going to tax the carnival industry, taxing everybody. Well, Mr. Speaker, I do a lot of research, and I came here with some research. So I happened to find a Trinidad Express article dated the 11th of March, 2020. Who was in power in 2020? I think it was my friends opposite. The article is titled, "Non-Compliance Level is High. Minister Alison West on Carnival Taxes." Let me get into the article, Mr. President. "Carnival is big business," I'm quoting, "generating hundreds of millions of dollars in increased sales of alcohol and food for supermarkets and retailers every year. But all-inclusive fete promoters, masquerade bands, soca stars, music truck owners, well-located bars as well as hotels and guest house collectively generate millions of dollars for their owners. How many local businesses either declare their carnival-related income or pay the appropriate taxes on that income?" Then the article goes on by quoting former Minister Alison West. She said, "The TTRA's focus will be on ensuring that there is equitable compliance with the tax law." She outlined that this includes ensuring that, one, and I quote, Mr. President, "the tax net captures all taxpayers, including those from the informal sector and those involved in periodic activity such as events promotion and carnival activity." So you understand what is happening here, Mr. President? Hypocrites. They are in fact accusing us of something that they were going to do with the TTRA. That is why one of the first actions we took as a government was to repeal the dreaded TTRA. To repeal the dreaded TTRA. Mr. President, I go now to the contribution by Senator Lewis in terms of the orange economy and the quantification of these matters. I am happy to report, Mr. President, that the IDB, through the Ministry of Planning, is already embarking on such a project in terms of the quantification of the creative industry, not just carnival alone, but round-the-clock creative industry in Trinidad and Tobago. And I can also tell you from the IPO side of things that the TTIPO office has already engaged with the WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Office, through a creative economy data model, which is already an ongoing project collecting data and information. So, Mr. President, the work is being done. We are on it. We are on it. Mr. President, sorry. I want to tell my friend Senator Bates, I think she said that we need to move the IPO 10 authority and so on. I want to tell you, Mr. President, that under this government and the leadership of the IPO office, Mr. Asghar Ali, that both CMOs have in fact engaged in mediation, and there will be a model coming very soon in terms of going forward. There is no need to make the IPO office any authority. There's no need to do that. That will be done. We are allowing the creative industry to regulate themselves in that manner. Let them do it. And I don't know how we reach from an argument, Senator John Bates, from one that we're trying to protect people work, give them protection, to victimization. She accused us of victimizing people. Nothing in this bill, not a single clause, Mr. President, has anything to do with victimization. This bill, this particular piece of legislation, does not apply to one group. It applies to every single person. It applies to every single person. It doesn't apply to any one group. And again, Senator John Bates raised an issue of AI and in terms of protection and so on. I want to advise the senator that according to copyright law, and I'm going to use two jurisdictions, one in the US and the other will be in the EU. Copyright is really for human authorship. It's not solely by machine. I mean, if there's some element of machine, yes, fine, but you're copyrighting human authorship, human talent. So therefore, that does not qualify for copyright protection. Mr. President, I am very shocked at the level of preparation and analysis in this place by my friends in the opposition. The US Copyright Office says that you only protect the fruits of human creativity. Simple, you know. You can't type up on ChatGPT, create a fake image of Arnold Roberts and put it on the internet and say that has to be copyrighted. That is not how this thing works. This copyrights human creativity and authorship. The EU says that the author must own the intellectual creation. So human creativity remains a key factor for protection. But Mr. President, in local parlance and since we're in carnival season, they didn't do it, we did it, so it hurting them. It hurting them. And this government will continue to do all that we can ensure to protect all of the citizens. Because on this side, Mr. President, on this side, we're giving them performance, and we're giving them performance. I thank you very much, Mr. President.
Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? Can I have your undivided attention? That's how more like it. The result of the division is as follows. 30 members voted for the bill. No member voted against the bill. And there was no abstention. The bill has been unanimously approved.
So, Suman, that yes, Suman, you could comment on that's among your line of how to say qualifications there for that. So if you can give us a few comments on what you saw there in reference to the bill.
As MP Salam gave a good account and a good, good explanation of how things were and condemned the formerly MP Posando West, MP Alwari, on the shortcomings and why the PNM wanted to take credit for things which they never did. Great, a lot of praise must be given to the AG office for the side of things, the AI side of things, the technology side of things. It benefits the whole population. Doesn't matter which party you vote for, where your allegiance lies. So that, to me, is good legislation, and I always like to see good legislation implemented and passed.
And Suman, I just want to add to that. I'm a big user of the IPO office. I've utilized the resources there. I have 10 industrial designs registered with the Intellectual Property Office. And that started way back in 2012 under a UNC government. I was actually working on a design, and the government approached me to solve a problem where that was very challenging and for the engineers. And I said, "Hey, I have a design that I'm working on. It's intellectual property."
Right?
And they questioned me about it. I had to present it to a team of engineers who
Mm-hmm.
never saw anything like this. And they said, "You sure this thing going to work?" And a whole bunch of questions. I say, "Look, it's intellectual property." So I was able to register the rights for it, the industrial design.
Nice, nice.
And under a UNC government in 2013, we implemented that industrial design, and it successfully fixed the problem. It's a flood mitigation problem in Bamboo number 3.
Wow.
And again, they asked me to solve a problem in 2014, right? So 2013 was the first one I implemented. Then 2014, I implemented a second one of my design to solve another problem there that was contributing to the flooding and stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I went ahead, I did a demonstration, a presentation of the design, how it's going to work. And I mentioned to them that this design that I'm implementing is protected by the Intellectual Property Act, right? And no one can steal it and, and so forth and replicate it and use it. So,
Correct.
yeah. So that's a very, very important office, the Intellectual Property Office.
Right, yeah.
It is there to inspire our young innovators, right? To bring out that creativity, and they could protect their invention or innovative ideas. So I am someone who has used that office, exclusively. Own 10 industrial designs there, and I have to thank the UNC government in 2013 and 2014 for implementing 2 of my industrial designs to solve difficult flooding problems. So yes,
That's
again,
mean,
the
that's
UNC is
mean,
delivering, and
Mhm.
the UNC is the government when it comes to innovation and inspiring innovation in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. Well said. Well said, Kenan. That is no mean intervention you made there, my friend. That has, as I said before, the community benefits from your action. Right? Doesn't matter where they sit on the political divide.
Correct.
No, everyone benefits from it. And that is what I see, and that is what I said. It's good legislation. That IPA legislation is good legislation. It's protection of the creative industries. Who have creative ideas, be it in whatever field, education, healthcare, engineering, what have you. Once you can solution oriented and you can invent something and it works, in your case, it works astoundingly well. And we all benefit from that, from such a implementation. So again, that's a nice piece of legislation I'm full support of.
Definitely, most
So I
definitely.
have another little bit of footage here, and I'm gonna play, and then probably let's guys
I
take
want
a
to
look.
address the concern that people having with tickets being issued, the $10,000 fine for invalid insurance. And yes, some of them may be valid tickets. People do drive around with invalid insurance, so I support the fines. But it have people being ticketed for presenting a valid insurance document, but because it's not coming in the jacket issued from the insurance company, or it doesn't come with a wet stamp or signature, they are deemed invalid when that's not true. So since January 1st, 2025, this memo by the Association of the Trinidad and Tobago Insurance Companies, Section 16 of the Electronic Transaction Act, which states a copy of data message containing an electronic signature shall be as valid, enforceable, and effective as a document containing non-electronic signature. Members can therefore now email jacketless certificates to clients who should print and keep the certificates of insurance in their vehicle ready for inspection or other purposes if need arise. Once it is you have a valid insurance certificate from an insurance company that was emailed to you and you printed, it is a valid document that you can keep in your vehicle. It does not need to have the jacket and it does not need to have a wet stamp and signature in order for it to be valid. It is just as valid if you print it with your printer.
Okay, gentlemen. Ken, you want to say something?
When I pay my insurance in Florida, I don't get a copy of it.
We get it
On,
on an app. It's on an app.
it's in an app, so the police stops you. You tell your Geico, you call Geico, and this is my insurance. They have access to it.
And
No,
But you've seen how our mind are conditioned to
well, this is what I said, Gary. I don't know if you saw the message I wrote and the advisory. We are way behind the curve, my friend, with respect
that was
to
my next point.
with the whole thing of technology. And if you see that laptops that are given to kids and so on, that is what is going to transform the economy. Not the 20,000 or how much public servants sitting there and shopping. Not that is not going to do nothing. That is the same old kind of thing going on. Like what's going on in the licensing office now. You know, those things, what's going on in immigration. You know, these kind of things is the old style of doing things. It's creep, it's reek with, you know, underhand deals and so on.
And so, if may I say something, this is
Yeah.
why we need to embrace AI. We spoke about the FUL process and application process, where AI
Yes,
could really help with the backlog, right? And not
backlog.
just with routine stuff, with a lot of stuff. So yeah.
But
So
you see,
yeah, you go
this
ahead.
needs to be clarified. The communication needs to be clarified
But
to the police, to the traffic division. You know, exactly what the young lady is explaining there. That information, you've seen that there is not proper communication, and that's why we ended up with this problem that we have here, right? So we need to fix that. And again, this is another set of problems that the UNC have to fix, and we have to fix everything like like waving a magic wand.
that insurance issue is already is one that has to be fixed, because I don't know if you know, Gary, I was involved in an
But
accident
I'm
that
saying
day.
in the change in the documentation,
Yes, yes,
it,
yes,
there is not it hasn't been communicated properly, and
correct.
people are getting
Correct.
ticketed because it's not in a jacket.
And there's a
Yeah,
photocopy.
You have proof of insurance. This is
but,
the ignoramus kind of way that, see, we have a kind of mentality there that it might take us another 100 years to tell you the truth.
that's what I'm saying. It's the same old, it's a backward mentality.
We're stuck in that kind of a ignorant kind of way, and we don't do, I mean, there's a lot of education has to take place. We need some educated people. I don't know. I mean, we spend so much money on education. We have so many people with A levels and this and that and degree, and yet we have this kind of a level of service and incompetence you see in here, where they could not understand the difference.
But
You
it's
know,
systems, and I don't know how much
yes,
systems guy we have mentioned that, but I was trained in systems over 40 years ago, information management systems. And this is what it is all about, identifying
but
problems and finding solutions.
somehow you see there is a problem with the administrative way of doing things. The
Yes,
administration is not
no, they
and
don't
they
like, they
we have
don't
to get
like,
rid of these
they
dinosaurs.
don't like to
We have to
introduce
get rid
new
of these
systems.
dinosaurs in the system because they are obstructing progress. And
And,
some people need to retire.
and
I mean, look at
everybody likes their own cubicle, Gary. They don't want to change. They don't embrace change, and they figure that you coming for their job, so they leave. They like it when it's the same old situation occurs. It's the same thing
And
happening
and
right now in the licensing
and
office.
some of the
Same
level
thing.
of corruption also, they don't,
Oh,
is
this is
there.
what I'm. This
It's
is
part of it.
exactly what
So
it is.
you
This
know,
is exactly what it is. The level of corruption in the licensing office increased more than tenfold from what it was before. Imagine, man, Man come into park at 4:30 in the morning to block a spot for you. So you have to pay them now.
Even with the FUL process, it's
But
alleged that
that
people are
to
paying
me
$50,000 to get that thing approved,
to me
right? And
that is,
fast track and stuff.
yes, but still, do we know how many people applied, Ken? What is the annual
More
or
than
monthly
20,000. I
turnover?
heard more than
20,
20,000 applicants
more than
still outstanding.
more than 20. Do we know that what rate is being processed per month or per week or something like that?
Maybe the commissioner is doing 50 per year.
For 50 per year, correct? We don't know. Nobody is informed.
Yeah.
Whereas if this is the ideal setup for an AI, AI setting. As I said, I mentioned it before, if to get an FUL, you need to have 10 things. If you have 9 things, what happens to that one thing which it doesn't have?
Do
It
you
gets
think
kicked. It gets kicked.
some of them so vicious and ignorant they make you go and do the whole process over again?
That is exactly what happens, Gary. It's
Yeah.
kicked out. It's kicked out. And once it's kicked out, it's in the pile of the man who still has 9 more things to do. You just have one more thing to do. You got correct. But it's lumped with all these
Your
things.
voice
So,
has
but,
become muzzled so much. Yeah, okay.
so
Yeah, now
this,
clearer there.
this is the thing. You get lumped into it's just the things like cases, cases, how the small petty two joint marijuana gets locked in the more serious criminal stuff. It's all ties up the system.
Yeah.
So the process can never be propelled further. And this is what annoys me. These are simple solutions for it, man. They are simple solutions. Tell me
We're
on a
stuck in
monthly
a time
basis.
warp there.
Yeah, time out, like a time
And
module.
but here's something: we're gonna have to embrace the technology and the innovation, or else we're gonna get risk being left behind.
But you see how I can't see that happening, Ken, because based on what I saw when I was back home, in October they advertised 20,000 jobs, right? Public service jobs to fill public service vacancies that were left unfulfilled over the years, right? And I would say like 95 or 98% of the jobs is still the same old paper shuffler jobs. In fact, the job most applied for in all the ministries was what's called business assistant. Business assistant job, which is the 5 CXC passes or 3 CXC passes, if I'm not mistaken. BOA 1, assistant BOA. In all the ministries, that was the most, advertised jobs. How come? What level of, I'm not going to discriminate against employees. What level of decision making and BOA or assistant BOA bring to the table? That's like a menial low end job, but that's the most amount of jobs for the ministries. How come? So where are we going with that? My question is, how can filling those vacancies help us to leapfrog to solve the problems which you just mentioned? It can't. So you have to take that technological leap forward. You have to bite the bullet. Someone with the vision or some of these ministers who are high up has to drive the damn process to ensure that we adopt, at least try to adopt some of the changes. Every month passes by, we've been left back a year. That is equivalent to a year. So when 6 months has passed by, we have fallen back 6 years. The rate of implementation is so fast and so high that after 2 years we are a backward country, very backward country.
Correct.
The systems are not being changed to and modified to accompany the new technological change. And don't tell me we don't have people home to do it. Huh? We have most of the people are there to do it. But either they are being misplaced, they are not being employed in the right positions, they don't have the authority, what's creative. Oh, well, tell me something. If you have a good idea in the government, well, how does that get translated into something productive? Let's say you're a good engineer, Ken. You were there, you do your work
Yeah.
diligently, you have ideas how to solve this, solve that. But who can you tell? Who is in authority to take your, to
Well,
drive your process to make it even better?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one.
and that is
let's
lacking.
think of that tomorrow night, and I'm expecting Ken Ali. Hopefully, he's able to join us.
Hopefully to get on, yeah, because he always have problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would
Well,
let's wrap up for tonight,
yeah,
and
Right,
we'll
sounds
catch up.
good. Yeah, sounds good. I know
definitely.
tomorrow I actually go and do some dental work tomorrow. So,
Oh, okay.
I
Ken said he said tomorrow will be good, so I'll have to remind him. So let's see what happens.
all right, but I can always listen in and text accordingly. No problem.
All right,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay,
Have a
guys,
Right.
have
good
a
night.
good night. Take
Take
care.
care. Right.
Bye.
Have a good one. Yeah.
Bye
Right.
bye.